Now, new figures released by the Home Office today show the backlog in processing asylum claims has reached the highest level since records began in 2010. 3 years ago, the backlog was around 56,500 claims. Since then, look at it, it's more than tripled, now nearly 175,500 claims. This is the total backlog, by the way. Rishi Sunak has promised to clear a portion of it by the end of the year. Clearly, even that will be a big ask. As the backlog grows, so does the cost of the asylum system for hotels and the like. It's doubled, in fact, in just 1 year and now stands at £3.97 billion. Now, these issues generate a lot of political heat. Is immigration too high or too low? And today we learned there's been a big spike in the number of work visas that are granted. And we learned, now here are the work visas, but we learned what's driving it. It's health and social care workers, people coming to plug gaps in our hospitals and care homes. Look at that, up 157% on last year. Now, back to asylum, also, of course, the subject of fierce political debate. Let's look at main applicant claims, so not including family dependents and so on. And we can see that most last year were Albanians, although the government does now have a returns agreement with Albania. But the second most claims were from Afghans. 2 years after the UK withdrew from Afghanistan, the number of Afghans applying for asylum has doubled over the past 12 months, now at around 10,000 from around 5,000 before. And that raises questions about the UK's resettlement scheme for Afghans fleeing the Taliban, the legal route. Because today we know Afghans are making the journey here regardless, and in those cases they are coming overwhelmingly, 77% of them, by small boats crossing the channel. So they continue to arrive any way they can. But what of those who came here via official schemes from Afghanistan and have been living in hotels ever since? Well, they're now facing eviction to make way for people who arrived by small boats, as our communities editor, Darshna Soni, has been finding out.
I can't describe my emotions, because we have been in the hotel for the last 21 months, and finally we got our own property.
After nearly 2 years in a hotel, the Ahmed family are finally moving into their own home. But saying goodbye to the friends they've made is bittersweet, especially for 8-year-old Shazib.
Sad.
You feel sad?
Yeah.
Oh, why do you feel sad?
Because my friends are gone now.
You're going to miss your friends from the hotel. All that's left of their old life is what they can fit into the back of a car. Some of the adults have asked that we blur their identity because they still fear the reach of the Taliban. The family are only moving out with the help of a charity because, like many councils, their local authority just doesn't have enough properties. Some of the friends they're leaving behind haven't been as lucky. When the Taliban seized power in 2021, the militants threatened the lives of Afghans working for the British. In a chaotic withdrawal, the UK government evacuated around 21,000 of these workers and their families. They were brought to Britain with the promise of a new life. Placed in temporary accommodation, we've been following their stories.
This is my youngest son, Siawash.
But new figures show that 2 years on, around 6,500 Afghans, half of whom are children, are still in hotels. With political pressure to end the use of this type of accommodation, the Home Office has given them notice to quit by the end of August. We've learnt that a fifth are facing homelessness.
The government's been criticised for suggesting that some Afghan families are still in hotels because they've turned down offers of accommodation. They introduced new rules in May, under which Afghan families will only be offered one property. If they reject it, they have to make their own arrangements. But figures show that only 36 households have refused properties since then. Thousands more haven't had any offers at all.
I'm homeless now because I don't have any other place to go.
Hasina, not her real name, worked as a journalist and was targeted by the Taliban because of her work. She says she's been left homeless because of the new rules. Originally placed in different hotels in West Sussex, she managed to find a job. but was then offered accommodation in central London, which she couldn't afford.
That's really crazy, because if I pay 950 for the property and 500 for my transport costs, how I can just buy my food and lots of other things that you need to do in your life.
Hasina was told there'd be no more offers, so she's sleeping on a friend's sofa. She's trying to rent privately, but doesn't have references or a deposit.
I'm like a person that who are in a situation that she can't go back, she can't go forward. Stay, stuck somewhere and can't do anything. I'm just overthinking every day so what I'm going to do.
Some families haven't been able to find accommodation. That's where the local government and councils around the country have moved in and helped, because obviously some people are presenting as potentially homeless by not having accommodation.
The LGA warns that some Afghan families are simply being moved from hotels to B&Bs. The Home Office told us hotels were never meant to be for the long term, and they've given authorities an extra £7,000 per person to help pay for things like rent deposits, but councils say they're still struggling.
Because people understand the debt of honour we owe to people from Afghan who helped the British Army, and we have a duty of care there. But we have to balance that also with the needs of our own population here at home as well.
Come on, please. Yes, yes. I'm excited and emotional. Finally, we got our home, our house, and we moved.
A new home after nearly 2 years of their lives in limbo. Shazib is keen to show me his new bedroom.
So this is your desk?
Yes.
You like that?
I'm going to put my cars in here.
Oh, you're going to put your cars in there?
Yes.
Not your pencils and everything. You've got a Ferrari? Wow, 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 wow. So tell me how you're feeling now that you've seen the house.
I'm nervous, actually, about what's going to happen next.
Her apprehension is perhaps understandable. Wafa was just 7 when we first met her, and she's had to make huge adjustments.
Your English is very good now.
Yeah.
What's your favourite subject?
Math, actually.
You like maths?
Yeah.
That's great. Do you know what you want to do when you finish school?
I want to be a doctor, so I can help people.
The family were only able to get this home after help from a charity that works with Afghan interpreters. Thankful that they've been moved, they worry about friends left behind in the hotel.
In a hotel, nobody can start their life. This is my starting point, and I believe that one day they will be having a very bright future, a very safe future.